Yep, sounds good. Thanks, Coach.
Welcome, everybody, to the Northeast Indiana Basketball Summit. I'm your host, Ben Smith, joined by my co-host, Jeff Metzger. Before introducing our guests, we want to thank Feel for the Game for providing the platform to have all these presentations live and available for replay. You can check out all the resources over at feelforthegame.com. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Brian Davis, assistant coach, Vincennes men's basketball. Brian attended Lawrenceville High School in Illinois, where he won 2 regional and conference championships. In 1995, he was an All-North Egypt Conference selection. He graduated from Vincennes and the University of Kentucky, where he received a degree in health promotion. Previously, he coached at both Lawrenceville and Robinson High Schools in Illinois. He also coached at Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School in Lexington. As an assistant for the 2002 Robinson team, they went 29-3 with an appearance in the Elite Eight. The 1920 season marks his 15th as a Trailblazers assistant. At Vincennes, his teams averaged 28 wins a season. They've accumulated 395 wins against 80. They won the 2019 Division I National Championship, and they've advanced to the national tournament 9 times with 4 trips to the Final Four. They also tied a school record 52-game home winning streak. He has recruited and coached 15 All-Americans who have gone on to play major Division I basketball. Responsibilities include recruiting, academics, individual workouts, jamboree and summer camp direction, team travel, among other things. Coach, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Coach.
Absolutely. So you want to tell us a little bit about what you're going to be talking today?
Yeah, I'll give you, I know you just went over the bio there and kind of a brief background of where I've been, but I'm going to concentrate on the junior college level, my experiences at this level for any coaches that maybe want to get into college coaching, exactly what all that entails. I maybe didn't know coming up out of high school. I coached at different high schools before here about the recruiting process, the junior college level. Exactly what we look into at Vincennes, kind of things that are important to us, how we go about doing it, a little bit about our offensive and defensive philosophies at Vincennes, our culture, things we try to stress to our guys on a daily basis. And like I said, kind of wrap it up with just kind of responsibilities and duties that you might have at this level, which is probably similar to the Division I level, Division II level, but maybe some differences in junior college. So, obviously if there's any questions as we go along or at the end, would love to answer them and just kind of give you my thoughts on what's been successful for us at Vincennes and with the entire program.
Awesome. Jeff, did you have any questions for Coach before he gets started?
I do not. I'm sure I'll have a couple when we're done, though.
All right, cool. Did you have a screen share or anything, Coach, or how was your?
No, I'm just going to kind of read off my notes here. So I don't really have anything. If anybody wants to write down, they can go as we go, but I didn't really have any screen sharing or anything.
No problem. All right.
Okay. Well, the first thing, like I said, I want to talk about our recruiting at Vincennes and kind of what we think is important and some things that we look at and things if you're a high school coach and you want to maybe help your players get recruited, maybe some things that could help you out or maybe you didn't think of. So the first thing, this was a hard lesson that I had learned, was the first thing we look at is character in our players and making sure we get really good guys. And this is probably a mistake that I made when I first got into coaching at the college level 15 years ago. I would hear that somebody was a junior college prospect and they had to go JUCO and whatnot. And, maybe they signed with Tennessee or a big name school. So I probably didn't do as good a job when I first started out looking into their character and what kind of student they were. Had they been in trouble before? Are they a good teammate? Are they coachable? Those type of things that I do now. So I've learned, just how important character is, how they carry themselves, what type of guy are they, is probably the first thing that is asked of me from our head coach, Coach Franklin, because we don't want to bring anybody in that's going to not represent the school and the program in a first-class manner. So I probably learned, I think a lot of things you can learn from your mistakes that you make or others make as much as learn from other coaches on the good things. So that's one thing. Obviously, they got to be a certain level of talent and a certain skill level, certain size for position and things like that. But we will take a less talented guy or a guy that's not as highly ranked or, supposed to be the greatest player ever, that we feel like's a good guy, going to get better and be a good teammate, over the more talented guy that has a lot of baggage. So character is very important for us at Vincennes. The next thing I think with recruiting is you're trying to put together a team. And I know you can't do this at the high school level. You have, whoever's at your school, but on our level, you're trying to put together a team of players, not just accumulating talent. And I probably didn't understand that as well when I first started out. I thought, we have 15 full scholarships. So let's get the 15 best players you can get and figure it out. Now it's more like, everybody was a star in their high school team or wherever they come from. So it's getting guys that can play together and do certain roles. Everybody can't shoot every time down. Everybody can't have the ball in their hands. There's different roles. And so kind of keeping in mind on the recruiting aspect of we're trying to put together the best team, not necessarily the most talent together. So we'll take guys that, like I said, they're a little less talented, but will play a role over just getting, 15 guys sitting there thinking they're going to start, because obviously you can start 5 guys and it doesn't do any good to have your, 11th, 12th, 13th man unhappy and causing problems. So we try to get, make sure that we're putting together a team instead of just accumulating talent. So that's the main thing that we focus on in recruiting. The next thing I think when you're looking at the junior college level and the college level, why are they going to junior college? Because most of our guys that we get are Division I level talents. Did they fall a little bit short on their test score? Did they have a bad first couple years of high school and then they picked it up as they got older? So we can work with that. Or have they just been a bad student their whole way through and really not shown any kind of progress? Those guys we tend to stay away from if we can. We like to see guys that maybe as a freshman, sophomore didn't do that well, but they've kind of picked it up and they're doing better and they're trending in the right direction. If they've been at a 4-year school, Division I, Division II, NAIA, or wherever, and they're looking to transfer, why are they transferring? Are they, there's a lot of legit reasons. Maybe they just want more playing time. Maybe it was a bad fit. Maybe they want to get closer to home. Maybe they want to up their recruiting and go back to Division I or get to that level. But if they've had a lot of trouble, a lot of baggage, if their previous coaches really don't have a lot of good things to say about them, then we tend to shy away from those type of guys because they don't fit the culture that we're looking for. And then with the high school guys, we've had a lot of success with qualifiers. A lot of people think junior college is just guys that don't qualify grade-wise. We get a lot of qualifiers that are under the radar that maybe are Division I players, but for whatever reason didn't get the offer they liked or didn't get an offer at all, especially with guards. We've had a number of 6'1", 6'1", 6'2" guards that are really good players, but for whatever reason, Division I schools didn't sign them. And they've been All-Americans for us and done really well and helped us go to a number of Final Fours. And like I said, our national championship team from 2019 had Keith Clemens, who was a qualifier, who's now the starting point guard at Loyola Chicago. So we get probably more qualifiers than your typical junior college. One thing with us is we kind of need guys that are to play right away. At the 4-year level, you can redshirt guys, and we can redshirt guys too, but typically we're looking for guys to play right now. We'll look at kids and they'll say, well, he'll probably be pretty good in 2 or 3 years. And you can do that at a 4-year school, but at our school, we're looking for at least 8 or 9 that are going to play a lot, need to be ready to play right away. So that's something that is probably a little bit different when we talk to high school coaches and different guys that we recruit from. It's such a big jump from high school to college at the level that we're trying to play at. You got to really find the right ones. And there's definitely those guys out there. But we don't really need as many projects or guys that could be good down the road. We kind of need them to play right away come November. So that's one thing I think is important to look at with our recruiting. I think one thing that we do is we don't try to we don't promise anybody anything as far as starting positions, playing time, anything like that. We don't try to convince you to come here. We try to sell our program and how it would benefit them and how it would benefit us uh, to be mutually beneficial and want guys that want to be here. We're not going to lie or cheat or promise things that aren't right, and then when you get here it's a different story, because you're not going to be happy and you're not going to trust us, and you're not going to you're going to leave as soon as something bad happens anyway. So we try to be brutally honest on exactly how hard a work it is, what it's going to be day to day, how you're going to act, what kind of things that are expected of you on and off the court. And if it's something that you're excited about and something that matches up with what you want, uh, then it's, usually works out well. We give guys opportunities and sometimes they don't make it for whatever reason, but we really try not to make it where we're trying to convince you to come here. We're going to tell you what we have to sell and what we have to offer. And hopefully it's what you kind of have in mind and something that you're looking for as well. So we really try to do that because we really want guys that want to be at Vincennes and not try to, like I said, talk them into anything they don't want to do. So that's really big for us as well. Another thing we really focus on is trying to get guys from winning programs. I know coaches have said before, every team, I've heard this before, every team has a leading scorer. And, just because you're the leading scorer and you have really good stats on a team that, won 5 games, that might not mean a whole lot. So, doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't, but, we try to get guys from traditionally good programs, kids that were in the state tournament, won state championships, went to Final Fours, have won an AAU, just guys from winning programs that have consistently won, because that usually translates over. Guys that kind of lost their whole way through, sometimes that, it's easier to give up because you're used to losing. It's not as big a deal sometimes. So we really try to get guys from successful programs that maybe don't have the stats at another school, but they're winners and they can fit into what our winning culture is here, as opposed to maybe a star on a team that didn't win much. So that's really important to us, to look into programs traditionally that have won. One thing good on this level, I think, is if you're trying to move up in college, is the connections you can make with so many different levels at the junior college level. You obviously deal with high school coaches, you deal with summer coaches, you deal with all the Division I, Division II NAIA coaches because they're recruiting your players. So you get to meet and network with so many different coaches from so many different levels. And we recruit internationally, so we've had a lot of success, let's say, with Canada. So there's just so many contacts and connects you can make. If you're looking to move up in the business, the junior college level is an excellent place to start, because of all the different levels. You got people coming in to recruit your players, and then you're trying to place them, at good 4-year schools, and then you're trying to reload your team every year. We have to recruit anywhere, usually from 6 or 7 to maybe 12 guys every year, depending on how many we have coming back. But it's almost never less than 6 or 7. So, we're always constantly recruiting and having coaches call us and try to recruit our players. So it's really good to network and make those connections throughout the country. And like I said, internationally, we've had players from Canada, Jamaica, Australia, Serbia, the Congo, everywhere. So that's really good to make connections and to get your name out there and to meet a lot of interesting people and coaches from all over, and you can learn a lot from them as well. So I think the connections at this level is really good. I think 2 more things on recruiting that I'd like to talk to is we always try to undersell and over deliver. And what I mean by that is we always obviously want to put our best foot forward and talk about our success and talk about how nice our campus is and the academic setup we have and the history of the program and the guys that have went on. So we're always going to do that. But, I think it's better to, when they get here to even see it's nicer than we even told them, and it's even better and they're even happier than what we sold them. We're not going to tell them it's something it's not, from a town standpoint, from a community standpoint, from a campus standpoint. We want to undersell and over deliver, and let them know how hard it's going to be, but it's also going to be very rewarding, because you're going to be around good coaches and good guys, and typically win, as long as we don't mess things up. You're probably going to have a pretty good experience for 1 or 2 years, but we don't want to act like it's the greatest thing and make things seem like they aren't. So we tell what like it is, and definitely stress the positives, obviously, in recruiting, but definitely want to undersell and over deliver. And then probably the last thing on recruiting would be to make sure that you're not doing anything illegally or not by the book. There's certain programs or coaches that will try to tamper with players or whatever it may be. We definitely try to do things 100% by the book. We only recruit guys that are recruitable, and definitely follow all the NJCAA rules, which in some cases are stronger than the NCAA rule book, especially with like international guys and playing professionally and things like that. But you just do things the right way on a daily basis, and recruiting is no different. Just from the standpoint of making sure you follow the rules, and don't try to, a lot of kids in junior college especially want to come to Vincennes because it's some of the nicest facilities and campus and things like that. But we try to be very selective, and like I said, definitely above board on everything we do. So I think that pays off, because we haven't, we're not going to pay players or give them anything or anything like that. So we can always go to bed at night knowing that we've done things the right way. So that's very big for us in recruiting. So, if anybody has any questions on recruiting, they can ask me now, or we can wait to the end.
I had one thing I wanted to circle back to for you, Coach. When you talked about
Okay.
character, like, first part, can you define character, or is it something that you kind of know and see when you kind of feel it? Quantifiable to character.
Yeah, it's first of all, we try to talk to as many people that know the kid or the young adult as possible. So we always say when we talk to recruits, some we recruit longer than others and know better than others, but we always tell them, we don't know what you do 24 hours a day. We don't know you that well. Most kids, when you recruit them, are going to put their best foot forward, and they're going to present themselves in a certain way. That might necessarily not be how they are all the time. So we check their Twitter, we check all their social media, their Instagram, we talk to their coaches, we talk to their parents. We just try to ask them questions. Do you do this? Do you do that? And just try to get the best feel you can for their character. But for me, it's how do you carry yourself? Do you carry yourself professionally, or do you carry yourself unprofessionally? How do you treat other people? What do people say about you? We really put a big emphasis on the coaches and the people that are around them. And sometimes coaches will lie, and they'll try to help the kid out, and they'll say, oh, he's a great guy, and he's a hard worker, and he's this or that. And it's not the truth. But most of the time you can kind of read between the lines, and the coaches that you trust. And if every coach that's coached a kid says how good a kid he is and how hard they work and all that, then typically they're probably a pretty good guy. And if coaches are kind of vague, or some, they'll just tell you, hey, this guy's not going to do any schoolwork, he's not going to do this, he's got in trouble for this. Doesn't mean we won't give people second chances, because kids aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. And I think kids deserve extra second chances and things like that. So it's not like we're just going to write a kid off if they've not been a good student or they got in trouble before, because I think especially junior colleges, you want to give kids extra chances and a chance to make up for that. So it doesn't by any means mean that we won't give second chances. But what I mean kind of by character is, generally, are they a good guy? if they've made mistakes, are they learning from them? Do they mean well? Or are they just, kind of a bad apple? It's just, they've made mistakes, but yet they're going to continue to make mistakes. And you can kind of tell by what they're putting on social media, just talking to them. If you talk to them, hey, what did you do this weekend? And they tell you things that, they shouldn't be doing, and that's probably a good, they're kind of, we always say guys kind of tell you who they are. And it's for you to kind of, believe them. Usually, they'll probably kind of give you a pretty good feel for who they are. So character for us is somebody that we feel good about having them represent our program and our university. And then you're taking the best bet you can, because you don't know what they're doing 24 hours a day. And they are 18 to 21-year-old guys at our level. And doesn't mean they're not going to make mistakes or they're going to be perfect. But we generally try to get the best character guys we can that are also, obviously good players.
Cool. I'll let you keep rolling unless Metzger, did you have anything? I think he's still muted, but
I do not have any questions yet.
all right, Coach,
Okay.
carry on.
All right. Next, I want to kind of talk about our culture at Vincennes, and that kind of ties in with recruiting. Some of the stuff will be the same, but kind of what we look for, what we ask our players to do, how we want them to carry themselves, and things like that. Our first rule, we don't have a million rules for every certain situation that could come up. We always say, and we don't have okay, you do this, you have this penalty. It kind of depends on each situation and kind of if you build up any trust or any, you've built up, if you've been a great guy for a year and a half and you mess up, that might not be the same as a guy that's been in trouble 3 or 4 times. So we don't have every rule, like I said, that could come up in every situation. Our general rule is you must represent the program, the university, in a good manner at all times. And that's in class, that's in the community, that's on the court. And if it's something that you got to think about, whether myself or Coach Franklin would not approve of, then it's probably not a good thing. So, it's how you carry yourself. We try to, we don't want you having headphones on walking around campus, or definitely in class or in buildings. We want you to interact with other students and interact with your teachers. And we ask our guys to sit in the first couple rows and make sure the teachers know who you are and that you don't have your phone on. You're not texting. You're not, obviously falling asleep or doing other things, talking, anything that would disrespect a teacher or something in the cafeteria or anybody in the community. We want you to carry yourself in a first-class manner at all times. And, so we just ask our guys to present themselves in a way that if you were going for a job interview, you would impress people. And like I said, if it's something that the coaching staff would not agree on or not be happy of, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. We have a curfew each night. A little bit later on the weekends, but certain times you're supposed to be in the dorms. So we run it pretty strict wise. But I think going back to recruiting, if you bring the right guys in from the start, that's a lot easier to do than if you have guys that have been in trouble in the past and don't care about school. And then if you get a number of those guys together, then you're going to have more problems in our history. So that's very important on the culture side. We always say it's an image business. There's certain things as coaches we can't wear. We can't present ourselves a certain way. We're not going to have a job very long. So it's an image business for our guys as well. They're on a job interview to get a Division I scholarship or Division II scholarship after they leave Vincennes. So that, how they present themselves from their clothes, from their hair, from just kind of, who they are, that's up to them, how they're going to present themselves. And we may not, personally care how your hair is or certain things, but, the people that give out the scholarships and the jobs in the real world do. So we try to let them know all the time, especially when you go to social media. How are you presenting yourself on Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat and things like that? Because like I said, it's an image business and you have to present yourself at all times in a positive light and not, somebody that they don't want to have around. It's not going to represent their university or if they're hiring you for a job when you get out in the real world, if they're not going to present themselves in a good manner, we feel like it's our job to teach these guys the right way to go about that. And also understanding they're 18, 21-year-old kids. And there again, we didn't have Twitter and things like that when I was coming up. I'm sure I would have probably done some dumb things at that time, but it's our job as the adults and the coaches to kind of teach them how it will benefit them. We always say everything we do as a program is to try to benefit the kids in the program. And when we're having the study tables, when we're having the tutors, when we're asking you to behave a certain way, and, it's all for your benefit. We all have our college degrees. If we just wanted to recruit guys to win games, we'd go out and find the 15 most talented guys and kind of look the other way, and we'd probably win a lot of games. But we're trying to get guys and teach them more than just basketball and how to carry themselves and conduct themselves, so that when they leave us, number one, they had a great year or two and liked being around good people and good coaches and good teammates and had a good experience. But then when they go on to the next place, those coaches say, man, they know how to act, they know how to play, and we're really excited to have them there. And a lot of times in certain junior colleges, they don't move on to be successful. They may win a lot of games and they go into the next spot, and maybe they haven't been coached. And that's in some spots. Some spots, we're obviously not the only program that does a good job, but we feel like we are one of them. So that's important, and that's kind of our part of our culture. As far as at practice every day, we want guys that are leaders, that have a lot of energy, that are out there early, that are doing the extra work. And we always believe that a player-led program, obviously, to us is more important. The coaches can drag you, and we can set stuff up for you, and we can talk to you about it every day. But we really want the players to be the guys that get things going, that are out there early, that are bringing the energy. If I have to be the energy guy every day, that gets old for me, and I don't think the best teams have it that way. We'll do that if need be, but it's much better if you got your leaders. And at our level, it's all freshmen and sophomores. So a lot of times it's sophomores, not always, but that kind of are the leaders. And if they're energy takers and they're don't act like they want to be there and they're dragging around, that really brings everybody else down. But if they're out there clapping and energy and going hard and got a sweat going and getting the other guys going that maybe need a little bit more pick me up, then I think those are the best programs. So we try to build a culture of, almost every day our practices start with our players, because they know kind of we're going to go right into guards, bigs, breakdown, and they kind of know what drills we're going to do. So it's they usually get going before the coaches even get out there, and then we can come in and do whatever we're doing for the day. But they kind of know the breakdown of how practice is to start, and some days have more energy than others, and that there again comes back to the culture we're trying to get as many leaders and winners together that are good guys that want to try to compete for national championship, and they want to move on, they want to have the highest GPAs they can have, and the more of those guys we have, they're going back to recruiting, that fit our culture, the better that culture is. And it's all started from Coach Franklin from the top, being the head coach. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's won X number of games. He's been in the national tournament, and he kind of sets the tone and really taught me a lot in the last 10 years on there again, kind of how that culture should be. So that's very important to us. I think one thing, probably two more things here on just our culture. One thing would be to get tough guys. I think you can make guys tougher, when you get them from somewhere else, but I don't know if you can make somebody a tough guy. It's very hard to win in college basketball or high school level with soft guys. And I don't know any coach that says, man, I really want, some soft guys. So, we really try to recruit toughness and get as many tough guys. And we always say, hey, tough is not running your mouth. Tough is not picking a fight. Tough is not, just acting like you're tough and puffing your chest out. Being tough is getting that rebound when you're dead tired and going up and getting it, sitting down and bending your knees and getting down and guarding, with 5 minutes left to go in the game, and they have a really good guard and we got to shut him down. Toughness is bringing it every single day when you're tired and it's a long season and it's cold outside and, you just had a tough loss the night before. So toughness is very important in our Vincennes program. And a lot of Division I coaches know if they get our guys, especially guys that have been with us for 2 years, they're going to know they're probably pretty tough. It's hard to make it through our program for a season, let alone 2 seasons, if you're not pretty tough. So toughness and a culture of toughness is one of the main things we look for in a player. And then I think probably the last thing with our culture is we really try to define roles pretty soon when we recruit them and when they're here. You have 15 guys on scholarship. Almost every one of them was their leading scorer or their star on their high school team, prep school team, wherever they've come from. They've been, the quote unquote man. So we only have 5 guys that can start, and only going to play probably 9. So we typically redshirt 1 or 2 guys that maybe aren't going to play a whole lot, but that's still 13 guys, and you might have a walk-on or 2 that are all played when even our walk-ons were leading scorers and good players at other places. So defining the roles that, hey, you're not going to have the ball in your hands all the time. You're not going to get 15 shots every game. You're not going to play 30 minutes a game. You may play 5 minutes a half. And controlling the egos and the attitudes and getting guys to buy in, which helps more when you're winning. Luckily we've been pretty good. It'd be much tougher if we were losing and guys weren't playing, but it's still, you got parents, you got coaches, you got the kids, and they're working hard, and we just can't play everybody. So we try to build a culture of team, and be happy for your buddy, but yet also know that if there's a reason that you're not playing and it's not personal, you just need to get better and be ready if your time comes. If you outplay that guy in practice for a week straight, then we're going to play you. It's not a thing where, hey, this is a 5 that's set in stone and you have no opportunity to get any better from that. So that's kind of the main thing with our culture. We just want the best guys we can get that are good guys, that are good players, that'll work hard every day, and they'll go to class and represent the university in the right way. So you guys have any questions on our culture or anything like that?
I do not. Jeff, I'll give you a second here to unmute yourself. If you have any questions for Coach.
Yeah, Coach. I know you mentioned toughness. If I came through your program as a player, what would you say a main core value other than toughness that I would obtain?
I would say discipline, probably. We're a pretty disciplined program. I think, we put a lot on them to make sure, a lot of them, especially if we get them from high school, have never been away from home before. So we try to teach them that discipline of getting up early. We make sure they get to breakfast, by 8 a.m., even if they don't have classes till later. The discipline to, when you get out of class at 10, you have a break till 1, to not just go in your bed and go take a nap. We try to say, hey, come get in the gym, come get a lift in, go do extra work with your classes, get ahead of your classes, go see a tutor. So discipline is probably something they would learn from our program that maybe they didn't have wherever they came from, or they're better off, once they leave us to do things necessarily they don't want to do. Like I said, we have study tables 4 nights a week. A lot of kids don't want to do that when they've been in class all day. They've been in practice for 3 hours. They go eat dinner, and now they got another 90 minutes of study table. Might not be their favorite thing to do, but the discipline of being there, being on time, and working, like I said, is for their benefit. It's for them to graduate and for them to be successful and then to move on. And like I said, a lot of times we could keep guys eligible if that's all we were worried about doing was winning games. But we want to make sure they graduate and they have the best grades they can and have the best opportunities to move on. So I would say other than toughness, probably discipline would be something they would learn and take from our program. And then probably family. If I could give 2 answers, probably, meeting brothers for life. Hopefully all the former players know they can call me and Coach Franklin and the other assistants we've had. at any time, and we'll be there to help them. And we want them to come back to games. We want them to be a part of it. So I would say that's probably the main things, the discipline in the family.
Thank you. That was a great answer.
Appreciate it, Coach. Okay. I'm going to go on. I don't want to take up too much time, but I'm going to some of our basic offensive beliefs at Vincennes. One of them, we're kind of old school in the way we do things. We kind of are definitely inside out. We actually have, a post-up game and use the mid-range game still. It's been pretty successful for us. It's really hard nowadays to find guys that are the old school post players. We had one a couple of years ago, Lonnie Francis, who was an All-American, who was probably as good at inside score as there was in the country in junior college. And he had one move. He was left-handed and went over his right shoulder, but nobody could stop it, at least at our level. But he's one of the few. We had a pretty good one this year, Chinadu Akanu, that just signed with Northern Illinois, and another 6'9" kid, Kevin Kone from France, who's going to Mississippi Valley. But it's very hard, and we're doing that right now in recruiting, to find good post players. But our basic offensive philosophy is to go inside out. Spacing obviously is very important for us. 17, 18-foot spacing so guys can make plays in space. We feel like if we can get a single situation inside with our post-up guys, they should be able to score or get fouled pretty much every time down. And then if they bring the double, then you got the kickouts for shots or shots and rips and tack the elbows and things like that. But our offensive philosophy is kind of obviously push the ball as quickly as we can with our two wings running to the deep corners. Our 4-man always takes the ball out of bounds. Our 5-man will run to the block, and then our point guard will push the ball up. And we're looking obviously to attack in transition as much as we can. I think we averaged close to 90 points a game this year. We're typically somewhere around there. And then if we don't have it, we'll go into a secondary break and then kind of go into – we have different sets. We'll do some twin stuff, and we'll do some 3 out, 2 in, 4 out, 1 in. But everything comes back to spacing and shot selection. And then we've been one of the top rebounding teams in the country. As we always, on the offensive end, 3, 4, and 5 are crashing every time. One's, sometimes the 2 as well, with one of the guards getting back. So we'll have 3 to 4 guys crashing the boards at all times. We had a kid, George Dixon, who's at Eastern Illinois now, who was on the all-newcomer team in the OVC, who led the nation in offensive rebounding a couple years ago in our national championship team. And he was 6'4", maybe 6'5", but he was strong, 220, and just went and got it. And we drilled it every day. We really work on rebounding every day. So offensively, like I said, we're really trying to go inside. And then like I said, we still shoot the pull-up mid-range game. I know a lot of the analytics and things like that say that's a bad shot, and maybe it is, but it's been successful for us. And we feel like if you can get, a couple feet in the paint, you're either going to have a nice shot, or you're going to draw somebody and drop it off, hopefully for a layup or dunk, or you can draw somebody in and kick it out for an open shot. So we really try to attack that paint, either from the corners or, if ball screens from the top. So that's, some of the things we do offensively. Like I said, I think, one thing that we do that makes us pretty tough to beat is our shot selection's better than a lot of teams that I've seen. Like I said, we're not the most talented junior college team you're going to see out there, but we typically take pretty good shots. And then, like I said, we rebound pretty well. So if we miss those shots, we get a lot of putbacks. So we really stress making the right pass. I don't like to say the extra pass because you don't want to make any more than you need to, but to make the right pass. So we're taking great shots every time down. I mean, everybody's going to get a shot, 90% of the time unless you turn it over. So it's what kind of shot are you getting and who's taking the shot. We want our right guys taking shots that are good shots for them and then crashing the boards with, reckless abandon, but being smart about it, not jumping over people's backs, not being dumb about it, but spinning and getting the positions and trying to get the best shots we can. With that, a couple drills that we do every day. We do a layup finishing drill a lot, where we'll start at the top of the key man on offense, man on defense, a little further out by the volleyball line. And they will just drive it hard, set it up, drive it hard down the right side with the defender right on their hip. And then they got to use their shoulder and finish strong at the basket, head up on the square, inside shoulder, ball protected, and just finishing through contact. And we'll do that, so many times, maybe for might be 10 minutes straight of just finishing on the right side. Then we'll go to the left, finishing power moves, usually off 2 feet, just finishing at the basket. I think a lot of times people can make moves to get to the basket or get in the paint, but they're not great at finishing. So we'll really try to, to do that every day where you're getting there and you're finishing. We might have the pad, or like I said, they might have a defender on them, just simply getting to the basket, taking off around the block, head up, and finishing through the contact. And it's just a toughness, it's a toughness drill where you're getting in there and just keeping it simple and finishing. Or we'll make a move, the same move, and then you're getting 2 feet in the lane and it's a hard pull up in the paint, and getting where you can make that. So we do that about every day. We do just your basic drive and kick, or drive and drop off, where we'll have a line up top. We'll have a post guys are down on the opposite block, kind of in the dunk zone area or layup zone area, kind of short corner. And then we'll have another group of guards in the corner, and the guard up top will attack elbows. We always say attack elbows and blocks. If we can get to elbows and blocks, that's what we're trying to do. So they'll drive in and they'll drop off to the big man who's waiting back, and he's going to attack the rim and try to dunk it if he can. At the high school level, maybe you don't have guys that can dunk it, but they're catching. You get just going straight up and scoring, catch and score. No dribbles, no fluff. Just attack the rim, and then they'll kick it out to the corners, for wide open threes. If they don't have the threes, they'll catch. They'll rip low and really push it out and try to attack elbows. So they're getting that pull up, and then you got the rebounder on the other block to get the rebound misses and go back up and finish. So we do that drive and kick, and then there's different cuts and different moves we do off of that every day. And they're all stuff that we do in our offense. We don't do any drills just for doing drills sake. We do it right out of our offense. So we'll do that every day. And then probably the last thing I'll say for our offense, we do a full court, where all 5 guys will get shots up on different things, where, like I said, the 2s and 3s will run their designated wings. The 4 takes the ball out of bounds. The 5s run to the block, and the point guard's getting it, butt to baseline and going. And the first thing they'll do is the point guard's getting it in as few dribbles as possible. They're pushing them up the court for a layup. Then we'll go through that a couple times. Now they're passing a head up to the right wing. Let's say we're going the right side. He'll take one dribble, attack the rim, try to dunk, try to finish the layup. We'll go through that a few times. The third one will be the 4-man coming in about the free throw line as a trailer, catch and shoot. And we're rebounding and putting in any miss. So if they shoot and miss, you're getting it, you're putting it back in. The 4th shot will be, okay, the 4-man doesn't have a shot at the elbow. He's going to come set a screen and roll ball screen with the point guard, where he's attacking middle, and you'll do a little bounce pass to the 4 for a dunk. And then the 5th shot is hitting the 5-man coming down wide on a sprint outside the lane, where the 1's dropping off for the 5 for a dunk. So we'll do that. That's conditioning. That's all 5 guys are involved. That's getting up and running, because we don't hardly do any running or conditioning that's not with a ball. We rarely will go out to the track and just run for conditioning. We'll try to do as much stuff with the ball as possible in the amount of time that we're allowed by the NJCAA, which varies from the preseason to during the season. So I guess to summarize, our offensive beliefs is great spacing. We're going inside out. We're taking great shots. We're crashing the offensive board. We got 1 or 2 guys back every time. And, we're trying to get in transition if we can. If not, we're going to run into different sets with ball screens and some horns and some high-low stuff. And it just kind of varies with our personnel. So those are kind of our main things offensively. Any questions on any of that?
I don't have any questions for you.
None for me either.
Okay. I just got a couple more things here. We'll go through kind of some of our defensive philosophies, and then just some of the basic responsibilities I have that you might have as a junior college coach, and that'll be all I have for you. But defensively, you know, we led the nation in defense this year. Gave up about 60 points a game, so we were number one in the country, and that really helped us win 28 games this year, and had a chance to repeat before the tournament got canceled. We were getting ready to head out to Hutchinson, Kansas for the national tournament at 28-5, and it got canceled with everything going on. But we are pretty much strictly a man-to-man team. We have a lot of the pack line defense philosophies. Everything we do defensively, you really have to pressure the ball. Whoever has the ball, we want to get up and get in them. We don't want them to be able to stand there and dictate and run their sets and do what they want to do if we can avoid it. We want to get up and pressure them. And if they're at the top, we want to push everything to the side, everything from side to side. We don't want to open our shoulder or drop our foot, open the gate, if you want to call it, to where somebody's beating us downhill, no matter where you're at, on the top, side, whatever. We never want to drop our foot and drop that shoulder and open the gate. I think once you do that, then you got to have help, and everything's, even great help teams, you're starting to get broke down. So we want to try to push you to the side with great ball pressure. Anytime you pick up the ball or you're looking, try to maybe high-low, or you're looking to make a pass, we want to get our hands up so you don't have a clear look, especially teams that are high-low teams. You want to really get up in them and get your hands up to limit, their passing. We are not a big denial, get in the passing lane type of team. Like I said, we're more of the pack line. We want everybody, for the most part, they're going to have a foot almost zoned off to where you have a foot in the paint, and then you can come out and close out. And we're kind of doing the same things as we do offensively, where we're trying to keep you from getting the ball inside, which we play probably 3/4 inside. We don't really straight front a whole lot or play right behind a whole lot. It's usually 3/4. If we have a really good post guy we're playing against, we'll send some doubles every now and then. But we want to keep you from getting to the blocks and elbows. Same things we're trying to do offensively. We want to stop you from getting to the elbow, stop you from getting to the blocks. Obviously, sprint back in transition and make you score in the half court. We're not a pressing team per se. We're more of a half court. Make every time you score, it's got to be over contested hand, and then all 5 guys are going to rebound. And on the defensive end, we want to limit you to one shot. One thing on rebounding that we teach our guys that I really maybe hadn't thought of before is when the shot goes up, everybody's first instinct is just to turn around and run to the rim. And obviously the only rebound you're going to get from there is out of the net. So, obviously when a shot goes up for us, the first step is to go back towards your defender, to break down with your elbows up, fingers up. And we kind of tell our guys nothing closer than a volleyball line to keep everything in front of you on rebounding. So we've been one of the better rebounding teams. We box out drills every day. And, you want to box out and keep everything in front of you. It's much easier to come forward to get a rebound than to go backwards. So we want, our back straight, butt down, elbows up, and keep everything in front of us. But like I said, our guys have their feet in the paint. Other than whoever's guarding the ball is going to be up, really pressuring the ball. We don't say, hey, we want to push them right, we want to push them left. We want to push them to the side. So east-west instead of north-south. If they're in the baseline, we want to push them out, anything away from the basket, so, those things are big. Mirroring the ball, obviously, wherever the ball's at, we do the mirror the ball drill all the time. We do a closeout drill from the baseline where we'll roll the ball out. There'll be an offense in the corner where you're chopping your feet, you're breaking down. They're going to drive, 3 or 4 dribbles one way, 3 or 4 dribbles the other way. Fake a shot, and we're going to get a hand up and box out. We do that every day defensively. One more thing we really try to stress is to never foul the jump shooter. I think, that's just not a smart play. Anytime somebody goes to take a jump shot or even a post move, you want to contest, you want to get a hand up, you want to turn and box, but never foul the jump shooter. That's a pet peeve of mine, especially when you're fouling guys shooting a three and they're going to go to the line, and you just got to make them make it. To me, you want to contest it, obviously, but you got to make them make the shot. If they do, you go back the other way. But never bail a guy out on a 3-point shot. So those are some of the ideals we have at Vincennes defensively. Any questions on any of that?
Yeah, Coach, I had one question. What's like your pickup point for the ball?
Yeah, it's usually about 25 feet. We don't want to extend our defense too far. And I'm glad you asked that, because that kind of goes into ball screen defense also. We're about 25 feet typically. Most ball screens, and they use a lot in junior college, we try to fight over, and then our big will have a slight show. We don't. Now, if it's a non-shooter or it's further out, we'll go a quick under at times, and that could change by game. But typically, we want to be tough and fight over the screen and have as little help as possible. We don't really trap the ball screen a whole lot. We don't want our bigs out there 30 feet from the basket trying to scramble and get back and all that. So they'll usually kind of stay in the paint and do a slight show. But usually about 25 feet. We want to get everything, all our defense, like I said, is inside out. So we don't want to get extended too far. So we're not picking up at half court, or like I said, if it's a team with maybe no depth at all, or their guards aren't very good, we'll press every now and then and pick up man. But it's not a gambling man either. It's not a turn your guy 5 times and run and trap and things like that. We're more of just a solid. Let's see if they turn it over. We'll apply pressure, but it's not a big gambling. Extend the court too much. But to answer your question, usually about 25 feet.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense with your inside-out philosophy. So, Jeff Metzger, do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay, my last part here segment is just kind of responsibilities. A lot of young coaches maybe don't know. They think, well, go to practice, maybe do some workouts. I do recruiting, and that's pretty much my job. I'm just going to give you some of the responsibilities that I'm in charge with. Like I said, I've been at Vincennes 15 years. This will be year number 16 coming up. Just some of the things you do day to day in the preseason, during the season, off season. Obviously, it differs, but and just some other things that you can be involved with. One, obviously nowadays, social media is very important. Some schools have a full-time sports information director and the junior college level, and some don't. And even if they do, the more you can promote your program, it helps with recruiting. The more you can connect with current students and get them excited. They're going to come to the games, have a better environment. And then the big thing for me and our program is obviously the past players. We've had, I don't know if it's 10 or 11, I think it's 10 former players that have played in the NBA. Probably the most famous would be Sean Marion, Carl Landry, that went to Purdue and played in the NBA, Bob McAdoo, Tyrone Nesby. So to be involved and keep those guys involved in the program and knowing what's going on and those things, I think is really neat. And all the players that have played for Vincennes, we want to have them back as much as we can. And you can use social media to promote your program when the games are coming up, when you've won some kind of awards, when you've qualified for the national tournament, just anything you can do. I do a lot of that stuff on especially Twitter and Instagram and then Facebook as well. Camps in the summer. I'm in charge of all our summer camps, which this year, they're usually in June. We're going to try to have them in July, but we do individual camps, overnight camps. You get to meet all the kids in the community and get them excited about it and help them with their game. And then hopefully they come back and want to come to games and watch and get their parents involved. And then we have all the team shootouts that we run in the summers and that we're hoping to have in July. And you get to meet a lot of different coaches through that and watch different styles of play and what they do and pick their minds. So I'm in charge of all our summer camps, do a lot of the social media stuff. We have a big jamboree with prep schools and junior colleges. There's 28 teams. You're doing the schedule for that. You're doing the officials. I'm in charge of our team travel. So there's a lot of different things you do that maybe you don't think about, which is good. That I've heard that maybe you don't have to do all those certain things at Division I level or certain spots that junior college, you're doing the laundry a lot of times. We're lucky that we have 3 or 4 good managers every year that help us out, but a lot of junior colleges don't. So they're doing the laundry. Um, I'm in charge of getting with our advisor and doing the players' academics from a standpoint of letting her know. She's really, really good, our advisor, on what they need to take. Number one, obviously to graduate from here, but also what the NCAA needs when they need college algebra, Comp 1, Comp 2, what requirements. They can only have so many hours of PE, things like that. So I'm in charge of that, kind of staying on top of that. Our other assistant does the nightly study tables, which are 4 nights a week for 90 minutes. So our other assistant, Coach Clash, who is really good as well, has been a head coach at Missouri S&T and Olney Central, does a lot of our weight room stuff, which are usually about 45 minutes with a partner. And we do that, as often as we can. I'm not as much involved with that, but he does a great job with that and the study tables. And then we do the individual workouts, with our players and all the skill development stuff. We try to do exactly what their role is going to be with the team. We're not going to have, our centers, doing stuff that they're not going to do, and our point guards doing stuff they're not going to do. We really try to focus on the skills they need that directly they'll be used in the game, and try to do. We don't have 15 million different drills. We try to keep it very simple, and then just do them really hard and get up as many shots, game shots as we can on a daily basis. So we do a lot of individual work with our guys, more so in the off season, and then with the different kids around town and things, you can make some extra money. Most junior college assistants, can do that with different kids around town and make some money on the side doing workouts. And then, we have a lot of public events that you're involved with. We do United Way Day of Caring every year, which is really good to get back to the community and get out and meet people and help out. That varies year to year what we do. We've done different things with schools where we'll go read to schools and help out with kids and things. And that's, I think, pretty neat for kids. When you walk in with a 7'2" player from Jamaica that maybe they wouldn't normally come in contact with, and they're little kids in 2nd, 3rd grade, and you got 6'9" from France and 7'2", and it's good. It's neat to see the look on their face, and it also gives a lot to us to be able to put a smile, and it makes us feel good and to give back. So there's a lot of different things in the community on campus we do as well. So there's a lot. To summarize, there's just, you're just doing everything at the junior college level, like I said, from travel to academics to weights to practice to recruiting to camps to jamborees to, just anything you can think of, you get to put your hand in. And, I've been fortunate, like I said, Coach Franklin's in the Hall of Fame. I've been around David Ragland for 5 years, who's at Utah State now, who will be a D1 head coach here soon. And we were together 5 years. And Everett Sullivan, who was a great player at the University of Louisville under Denny Crum, is who hired me at Vincennes, and was with him for 3 years. And just all the great coaches in our league and in different spots to continually get to learn at this level and is really rewarding. And I know I have a lot to learn. And so by no means is this, the only way to do things or the only way to play or anything like that. That's just kind of the way we do things and some of my philosophies, and it's been pretty good for us. So that's kind of all I have right now. I don't know if you have any more questions or anything like that, but I'm open for whatever you would have.
I had one more question for myself. You do the team travel. Like, how far do you typically travel, and like, what's the furthest like that you might travel for games? I guess it is.
Well, luckily in the past few years, we've been in a league where 20 of our 30 games have been league games, and all those games are in either Indiana where we're at or in Illinois. And the furthest away would be maybe 3.5 hours. so not too far. Before that, and luckily out of 30 games, we have like 17 or 18 are at home. So that's a pretty good schedule. So we don't have that many away games, and we only have so many overnight trips. But before we got in that league, we played in a Mesa shootout out in Phoenix. We went down to Florida and played in the Gulf Coast Classic. We've been to Maryland, to Allegheny and Hagerstown. We played postseason in New York, up by New York City. So we've been a lot of different places. And then I've always been kind of in charge with getting the hotels, booking those, making the room list, getting the chartered buses, getting the VU buses if we take those. So luckily I've been here long enough that it's second nature now. But if you were starting out and didn't know, you're right out of college or first time getting a job, it would take a little bit of getting used to. But luckily we don't travel too far. Recruiting, most of our recruiting, we try to, as far as going to see them, will be in Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, Ohio, maybe St. Louis. But we don't really travel to Canada when we have, we've had Canadians, we've had Australia, we've like all those places I mentioned, France. Usually we're going by film, or they play in the United States and we'll have them in for a visit or things like that. But we don't travel. People have asked me, hey, did you travel to Britain to get that kid, or did you travel to Jamaica? No, we didn't. Some of those trips would be fun, but we don't travel that far.
I guess to piggyback off the international, recruiting, does a player just like come across Vincennes, or how do they send information to you guys for international recruiting?
Well, there's all different ways. Sometimes they're directly over where they're at, and they'll send an email, or their coach will send a video. And, most of the times they're not good enough, or it's not a right fit, but sometimes they are. So, they'll just send direct video over. Sometimes, like the kid from France that we had, who was 6'9", was at a prep school in Springfield, Massachusetts. And I don't remember how we came across him. I think he a lot of stuff you'll see on Twitter. Twitter's really good because, any kid can put on, hey, I'm looking for a school. Here's my video, or their coach, and you can watch it. And if you like them, you message them and kind of go from there to get it started. And then a lot of it's just, I've been in junior college 15 years, and Coach Franklin's been, I think he said 23, and Coach Glass. So we've been you make so many contacts through the years of coaches at all different levels. There again, you got a Division I coach that likes a player and it might be international, and he can't get him in for whatever reason, or they're full, and they'll say, hey, take a look at this guy. So it's just all different ways. But, we've had a lot of internationals from all over the world, and from European countries to African countries to, like I said, Australia. We just had one from the last 2 years from Australia. And they generally are pretty good guys and pretty appreciative of the opportunity to come over to the United States and play. For the most part, we've had pretty good success. Some players better than others, but they've generally been pretty good students and pretty good guys. So, but to answer your question, just, a lot of it is Twitter, really. For not only them, but just players in general. You'll see lists and recruit. And I mean, we are on different recruiting reports that we pay for from different states, and different reports that'll have their names and contacts and video and stuff like that. So just a little bit of everything.
Awesome. Sounds great. Jeff, you got anything else for Coach?
Yeah. Take me back to the 90s. What made you decide to coach?
Well, I'm from Lawrenceville, Illinois, which is right here on the Indiana border, 10 minutes from Vincennes. And I was, a decent high school player. We had pretty good teams and things, but I wasn't anything special. It wasn't like colleges were beating down their door for me. So I went to VU for a couple of years and got my associate's degree. And then I went to the University of Kentucky as a student. And in '98 was my first year there. And Tubby Smith won the national title. And I've just always been around basketball and always been around good programs. Like my high school, like I said, won 4 state championships and had Marty Simmons that was the head coach at University of Evansville. And was Mr. Basketball, and Jay Schuyler went to Kentucky, and Doug Knopfsack, and a lot of, Bobby Wagner and Gus Gillespie, and on, good coaches, high school coaches and college coaches. And Vincennes has had such a great basketball tradition, and then Kentucky's a great basketball program. And I wanted to get in because I love the game, and because I wanted to help kids and help them out in the way that I could. I mean, I can't work on cars. I'm not very good at fixing things. I'm, pretty limited on a lot of things, but I somewhat know basketball and know people, and I just wanted to be around the game and there again, be able to help kids and learn the mistakes that I've made as a person. And I'm 43 now, so I've made a lot of mistakes, and hopefully learn some things and try to pass that on to our guys. And when I first started, I started coaching at Dunbar High School in Lexington while I was going to school at UK, and I was barely older than the players, and I was a volunteer assistant. And, I just liked the connection and being around the game and being around the guys and the camaraderie, and then just the competition part also is trying to, trying to outthink the other coaches and trying to outwork them. And, obviously that helps with really good players. The better players you have that are good guys, the better you're going to win. So, but that's why I got into coaching, kind of all those reasons.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I don't have anything else for you, Coach. We really appreciate it. How far is Vincennes from Fort Wayne? Because I definitely want to come up.
We're about 4 hours from Fort Wayne. Indianapolis is about the halfway mark. If you're coming from Fort Wayne, you just go towards Indianapolis, get on 70, and take that all the way to Terre Haute, and then hit 41 south from there. We're about an hour from Terre Haute in Indiana State. So trying to think if we've had some guys from Fort Wayne. I know one of the best players in our league, Sidney Curry, is at John A. Logan, who's a monster. Is from Fort Wayne, big 6'8", 6'9", left-handed guy. And we had Fred Ford from Fort Wayne back in the day, recruited Fred. But I don't think we've had a ton of Fort Wayne guys. I'm probably forgetting somebody. But yeah, we're about 4 hours from Fort Wayne. And there's not a lot of people don't know a lot about junior college in Indiana, because it's pretty much us and in Ancilla, which is up in the kind of South Bend area. But everybody knows about IU, Purdue, and Butler, and Notre Dame, and good D2 programs. But maybe a lot of coaches or people don't know as much about junior college. So hopefully I've passed some information along and some knowledge about it today.
Absolutely. I know I've got plenty of notes. So if anyone wanted to reach out or get in contact with you, what would be the best way for that to happen?
They can email me at bdavis@vinu.edu. I get that automatically. I'm on Twitter. I think it's Coach B Davis 3 maybe. I'm on Instagram. You feel free to give my cell phone out to any coaches that you talk to that have any questions or anything. But like I said, email or Twitter, Instagram, I'm on all that. Feel free to hit me up anytime.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach.
I appreciate you guys having me. Thanks, Coach.
Definitely. And this will be up later for you to